have Dr. Michael Kurr with me here from Boehringer Ingelheim, and Michael and I are just going to have a conversation, right? This is on a Friday morning. He's given up his spare time. He could be doing something so much more fun, but here he is. So Michael, it'd be great to get an introduction from you and find out a little bit more about it.
So first of all, thank you for the invite, Gaurav. It's my absolute pleasure to be here. It's early August. It should be high summer in Germany. When I look out of the window, it's freaking dark. It's very cold and it's raining cats and dogs. So what a wonderful time. What a wonderful way to spend your time and making a little bit of a podcast here with you. So I guess we are supposed to speak a little bit about the NEXT Pharma Summit, right? But before getting there, let me introduce myself. I'm Michael, as you mentioned. I'm working for Boehringer Ingelheim International in the corporate headquarters. However, I want to call out that I'm expressing my own views here and I'm not talking on behalf of my employer. Yeah? But my accountability in Boehringer is running a global services organization, which is supporting the Boehringer business with everything commercial operations and medical affairs operations. And the way this model works is to try to centralize, standardize, and harmonize business supporting activities, business operations activities, to make them more efficient, to drive the quality, to speed up turnaround times, and ultimately, of course, to drive down costs. Yeah? At the root of this concept is always economies of scale and scope, which is a decades-old concept. We know it from our university days, of course. It's worth revisiting because I believe these kind of principles and concepts are getting more important moving forward. So that's what I'm doing. I try Boehringer to help doing more with less, which means transformation and changing the way of working is always at the very heart of what I'm doing. Before joining Boehringer, end of 2019, I was almost 9 years with Novartis, mostly in the corporate headquarters in Basel, where I was busy with a very similar kind of journey, where Novartis took a similar decision that Boehringer took lately, very early in 2011 already. So this is how I came into this topic. Before joining Novartis, I spent a couple of years in consulting. Not strategic consulting, but rolling up your sleeves, operational consulting, busy with business process, re-engineering, restructuring, change management topics, no PowerPoints, rather workshopping and really making sure that things are actually changing. And this is why literally my entire professional life now, which is more than 15 years in global pharma, but extending many more years through consulting, is dealing with transformation, is dealing with change, with dealing with changing the way companies are operating, hopefully to the better. Yeah? This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm passionate about.
Wonderful. So I've had the pleasure of working with you not once, but twice. Once at Novartis in when I was in the oncology team, and then obviously at Boehringer we worked extensively together while you're global lead. And I think one of the bits that I always find is that, you know, there was such success because actually so many people were motivated to be change makers, right? And I think that's one of the keys, even now with all the discussion around AI, and I'm sure we'll dive into that. Michael, so everyone knows what you do for Boehringer. What do you do for fun in terms of from a personal perspective? You know, we'd like the listeners to get an idea of that as well.
Well, on a more private note, I'm a proud dad of still 2 young ones. I have a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old daughter. Happily married, of course, stable family situation, so to say. Where I spend most of my free time is actually on the golf course with my son. He's doing this since he's 4 years old. I joined him 3 years later, so he was the first one in the family, which is kind of weird, followed by Daddy. And it's actually this year where he officially took over my handicap score. So he's now 3 strokes. Is stroke the right term? I guess so. He's better than me now, officially. So 10 years old, he's going full steam ahead, which fills me with pride and a lot of joy. And this is really my favorite free time.
Wow. So we're going to have to get him down to Wentworth soon, and he can play on the PGA tour. So that's the retirement plan sorted, then Michael. I guess
hope this is happening earlier, right? So maybe we can push him a little faster in an accelerated way, and I go just managing him. That would be wonderful.
There you go. So I think the employee perks could be a golf course in Ingelheim soon. Yeah, that'd be nice, huh?
Yeah.
So Michael, I guess, what we could do is, it's been a while actually, right? We were in Croatia in May, and a fantastic event, fantastic speakers. And I was having a quick look at the league table as well, and obviously your session was one of the best sessions there, and absolutely outstanding. In terms of what you got as a reception as well. What I would look at is, what are your thoughts now? Because it's been a couple of months, right? A few months after Next. What is it that you sort of took away from it? Overall, what did you think of the event? And if there's anything you'd change about it?
So for me personally, I think the NEXT Pharma Summit that Dario and his team have established, I believe 5 years back, is one of those outstanding events where really forward-thinking industry leaders are coming and sharing perspectives and ideas. It's not like that super large-scale event, which makes it very anonymous, so to say. It's still kind of cozy community building. Also, the way Dario is bringing the people together and creating a positive buzz and emotions into this event is really exceptional. I was actually this year there for the 3rd time in a row being a speaker. So I'm almost part of the inventory now. Let's see if this continues. This year's presentation, I have to say, I have invested a lot of time and passion into it. It paid off in the end, but I'm not sure if I can do this every year. Yeah. So let's see how this is going. But again, this event, also the location in Dubrovnik is exceptional. Yeah, the surrounding is just perfect, and which makes the entire event like a really, really great experience, where there's a very good balance between good time to share with industry peers in a more informal way, and the sessions on stage in the audience, really having time to connect and having Q&A and exchange with those speakers and the other industry peers. And also a lot of interesting vendors and agencies are showing up there. This makes it really valuable in terms of time spent. I really like what Dario has built. There's a real Next community, I almost sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those events for me that lives on post the event, because there is so much content that comes pre-event, and then there's so much content that comes post-event. And something around the vendors as well, is that it feels like they can just mingle with pharma quite easily, and the events in the evening, I think, are probably the highlight. If people haven't been, I think it's a fantastic way to, especially for procurement teams, right? This is a great idea. Just get on the dance floor and let's see what everyone's made of. No, I really enjoyed it as well, and I think for me it's probably 4 years I've gone back to back. I have probably been media partner for the last 3 years with Dario. And what's wonderful is to see the story, right, with Petra as well. And she is absolutely, as much as part of this as Dario. And one of the things that we've seen is the growth. It used to be a few hundred people in the room, and I think we were touching close to 500 in the last event. So, watching this growing up, as you said, the community, that feel is very much there. I guess the second part, and this is probably so subjective, but I'm going to ask you anyway. The sessions, I think we had about 36 sessions, 38 sessions in 2 days, so super, super packed agenda. And it's always hard to do this. But what were the sort of standout sessions for you, and why, I guess?
So there were a couple of sessions that for me really were standing out, and I will try to summarize this a little bit. Let me start with the ladies first. Yeah, for me, one of the standing out presentations was the one of Alyssa Fenoglio, formerly Teva. She was talking about the human algorithm. So her presentation was about AI and the deployment of AI. What made this specifically interesting for me was that she kind of counterintuitively was framing this AI journey up in a very human-centric way, saying how AI is actually cultivating the people-centric organization, right? This, at first glance, seems counterintuitive, but the way she has created a human-centered framework for AI deployment and AI business models that was really resonating well. So 4 key pillars that she created was she framed the culture and capability area as the code of the human algorithm. She was framing technology up in a way that it can produce intent and enable intent, right?
Yeah.
Then designs, tech designs that are made for humans, but that are delivering really value for the business also. And lastly, the 4th pillar was that she said trust is the foundational infrastructure of this people-centric organization. And for all these 4 different pillars, she framed it up with real data, made it tangible. She presented a couple of use cases to really make it real what she meant. So for me, this was one of the outstanding ones. What do you think about that presentation?
Yeah, again, Alicia, we've known for a number of years, right, Michael? And just watching that presentation for me was about the growth, because I remember seeing Alicia's first presentations, which were kind of, centric on Teva and how they were doing some wonderful work and how she was leading some of that discussion internally and the capabilities. But suddenly that switch over to the trust element, which seems to be the cornerstone of most AI, right? Because I speak to so many people who say, look, we've built this over the weekend. We think it's fantastic. I'm like, yeah, you'll never pass IT SOC, right? Like this, there's a trust piece, there's a security piece. And I think she spoke to that. I think she also spoke to a lot of people's fears around AI, eloquently, because the trust is important, but you're taking people on the journey of this, right? In terms of the change management that's required, but also the mindset shift. I thought she spoke to that incredibly well. I'm a fan. So, Alicia, you're fantastic. And if you haven't seen her presentation, please do check it out on Next Pharma Summit's YouTube videos. I think the whole presentation's there, courtesy of Dario and Petra and the team.
And one thing that I would add here is also when you think about it, if this AI journey, the generative AI, the agentic AI is really done in the right way, it can take away a lot of the busy work, a lot of the grunt work that people really do not necessarily enjoy doing. And with this, it probably actually enables a more human-centric organization where people spend more time on topics that they actually enjoy doing. Yeah, so there's a big opportunity in here also, but we need to get that right. Yeah, that's the challenge for the future, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's in one of the other sessions as well, Michael. I think, we were talking about how people used to coordinate themselves using, compasses, and then came the sort of maps, and then from the maps came the A to Zs, and from the A to Zs came, Google Maps, and from Google Maps came thing. But we're all still, going places, we're still doing things, we're still, it's just more efficient. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't think AI is something to be feared. Any other sessions that sort of stood out to you from that? Because there's so much in that content.
That's a perfect segue into my second highlight here. It's the famous Marco Andre. He's using these kind of examples to say, no, there's nothing wrong with making your life easy by deploying AI, because sometimes there's a notion of, you are lazy because you do this with generative AI instead of sitting there, writing it yourself, and so on. Who from us is still sitting there with a paper map in the car to guide the driver where to go? I know these times still, right?
Yeah.
So
Remember, it was F4. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, the quadrants there. I don't know. So Marco Andre definitely standing out of the crowd of speakers. I got to know him, I guess, 2024 at the Next Pharma Summit, where he presented his "The Hype is Gone, It is Time to Grieve Now," which was already an interesting framework to frame up the topic. But then he took it really to the next level with his 7 cardinal sins of AI. And it's not only about the content, but the way he is speaking, the way he comes prepared, the way he's mixing up the PowerPoint with the video, the audio, the AI sequences that he created himself, and so on, which makes it full experience, I would say. It's not only a speech, it's a full, how do you say that? It's a full festival, a full experience. Yeah, I guess experience is
It is
the
an
right
experience,
way.
yeah, for sure.
So this is a must see on the Next Pharma Summit video that is made available.
Yeah, I think I've been lucky enough to see that presentation not once but twice, and they've been slightly different as well, right? Like he hasn't used the same presentation, he's adapted it. And you know, we're friends, right? Like in terms of he's very willing to share that he has grown into being the presenter that he is. So if anybody wants to look at how to be an excellent presenter, look at Marco Andre's presentations. But also know that there are moments when, you know, he's gone to a room, he's got his headphones on, and he's listening to his pump up music just before he gets on stage. I'm giving away all his secrets. These are all available in the public domain. But he literally is a star performer, and it's someone that, you know, we're very, very lucky to actually have in the industry, because what he's able to do in a world which commands content, he commands attention. And I think that is incredible skill to have. So Marco, you know, fantastic. Thank you for kind of inspiring all of us.